The eighth installment in the Conjuring Universe has finally arrived, and today I'm going to rank all the eight Conjuring Universe movies, starting with number 8, Annabelle. Well, this movie is clearly frustrating to me because The Conjuring 1 establishes Annabelle as a great doll. I mean, a scary doll which has a lot of potential in her own movie. And her first movie is just so bad. Like, really, it's so bad. It doesn't scare me. There's not a single scare I got that shook me. Yeah, there were some sequences like when she was in the basement of the building. That was an interesting sequence, and but the whole third act of the film just feels bad. There is not a lot of great scares, and it does not have that ghostly spiritual things happening around. It's just a demon that's going around by. I just don't like the story of it, and might be that's why I didn't like the entire movie. It just isn't as good as the other Conjuring Universe movies. Number 7 is The Nun, which I think is far better than Annabelle, but still is at my number 7, and it isn't a great film either. The Nun, the third act of The Nun is the only thing that I liked in the entire movie. However, the actual end, I mean, the peak of the third act was bad. When that vomiting blood sequence, that was just so absurd. I just didn't like that. Other than that, it delivers on the scares. It has some great sequences and some really ritual things happening around which are so traditional and feels like that is like really ghost, like all these nuns praying. That is a good concept. I just wish it had established it more and it had delivered more scares. Number 6 is The Curse of La Llorona. It's just a bit I think I like this more than The Nun because there's a well established story. However, there is a very silly one, so the story is very silly. I just don't like the redemption. The La Llorona was like, first of all, she killed her own children because she was jealous of her husband, and then she is like, killing others' children just because she killed her, and she's feeling bad for it. Just that sounds dumb to me. Other than that, the whole movie is great. Some great sequences. However, it feels like a very low budget film. But I think the horror sequences were great. The third act of the film was also great. However, there were some silly moments for which I do criticize the movie for, and that's what makes it at number 6. Number 5 is Annabelle Creation. I think this is a pretty solid film. Uh, but the first 45 to 1 hour is just so slow. I wish it had more scares in the first half of the film. It is like so slow. When it does pick up, it picks up very very great. I just wish, as I said, it should have more scares. There are some great sequences in it, but I just feel that it is a horror film in the Conjuring universe, and it does not scare me a lot, especially in the first half. The second half, though, is very great. I like it for that. Uh, so that's what Annabelle Creation. That's why Annabelle Creation is just a bit behind of Annabelle Comes Home, which is my number 3 pick. Annabelle Comes Home is more of a better. I think it's a better story. Uh, it does explore more of the Warren's house. That's what I like in it. There are some cool characters. I mean, yeah, the trailers did tease Ed and Lauren Warren, but they were just like a cameo appearance in it. Their daughter is the main show over here, and she does. McKenna Grace is quite good as their daughter Judy, and the scares are pretty solid in this film. That's why it is so high up. Number 3, The Conjuring 2. Very close between The Conjuring 2 at the 1 and the movie at my number 2, but I think I will go with The Conjuring 3 2 at number Conjuring 2 at number 3. Well, I don't have anything to complain about this except for the environment. That house doesn't feel ghostly. That doesn't feel ghostly. That location doesn't feel ghostly at all. Other than that, I think it's a pretty solid movie. It has some great scares and some really cool horror sequences. A great plot twist. I think The Conjuring 2 has the best story out of all the Conjuring Universe movies. I think it delivers on that part. It has some great plot execution, which I really loved, and it's very rewatchable film. It has some of the most scariest moments in the entire Conjuring franchise, and that's what makes this film a solid. It's one of my favorite horror films. It really is. It's just so great. Coming at number 2 is where I have the newest entry in the Conjuring franchise, The Conjuring The Devil Made Me Do It. The title is dumb, I know that. But the movie isn't. I think the movie is pretty solid. Michael Shaves does not really live up to to James Wan's horror criteria, but I like the a new take on the Conjuring universe. I like the detective appeal of the Warrens. It does narrow down the horror criteria for the film, but it's seriously is a new take, and it's an interesting take. I'm not saying there are no scares. There are scares in the movie, but not as much as the first two Conjuring Universe movies. I think it could have had been a bit better, but I think I really ended up loving this film because of the environment it's situated in. It's really ghostly. That's what I had complained about Annabelle. Sorry, The Conjuring 2, and that's where The Conjuring 3 improves. It's not a haunted house film. It's more than that. It explores a whole area, and I really like it. There are a lot of locations in it, and the trial is really great. Number one is The Conjuring, of course. Like the one that started this all still stays out to be the best of them all. It has some really great scares, a great plot execution, great introduction to these characters. That is Ed and Lorraine Warren. Great performances from both Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga. It introduces us to the Conjuring universe, which also introduces Annabelle, which further gets spin-offs. And I think this is a great film. It is one of the best horror films I've ever watched, at least in my top three. I just love this film too much. And I think it's the most scariest modern day horror film out of all the ones I have watched. It really, really is scary. And I don't think the Conjuring the Devil Made Me Do It was as scary as this one. The best thing about it is the plot execution. It's just so well done. So this was my ranking for the Conjuring universe. Share your own ranking down below in the comments, and like, share, and subscribe Film Villa for more amazing content right over here.